Hey everybody, it's Neenah. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to do a very soft watercoloring with some Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to do the Picked Raspberry, Peacock Feather, and Twisted Citron. And I'm going to be using a stencil with this technique. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to grab some of my blending tools. And I'm going to start with the Twisted Citron right down the middle of my watercolor paper. Now this watercolor paper is the Canson Extra XL watercolor paper, but you can use any watercolor paper you like. So I'm just putting down a quick layer of this Distress Oxide ink, and I'm not even worrying about being too perfect with this. I'm just trying to get down some of the color. Now, I will say that the sponges I'm using are well loved and conditioned, but on this paper, it's pretty textured, and these are, like I said, well loved. So I'm going to get a little bit of peeling off of the sponges. But that's okay. I'm going to just have to brush that off a little bit later when I'm finished with all the blending. So next I'm coming in with the gorgeous Peacock Feather, and I'm just going to spin my paper so I'm not blending in any of that pink from my craft mat. So I just want this to be a happy kind of summery kind of card. I'm getting ready to go on a cruise, and I just thought that these colors kind of reminded me of the Caribbean, and I wanted to play around with these colors just to kind of get me in the mood. So I'm using that one tool that had the Distress Oxide and the Citron to blend all my colors together. And now I'm just kind of brushing off some of that peeling. Now I'm going to come in with a stencil, and this is the Marilyn stencil from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm just going to place that right on top so I can kind of eyeball where I want my design. But before I add any water to this, I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. And the reason I'm going to tape it down is that I don't want a lot of warping with this piece. And to keep that from happening, I'm going to grab some Micropore Tape and tape this down to my craft mat. Now I do plan on wetting this paper a few times, and it will bow a lot if I don't tape this down to my craft mat. Now I'm being sure not to have the tape overlap my card panel too much because I don't want to lose too much of that color. So I'm just going to add that last piece onto the side. Now this is going to be a very soft background, so you're not going to see much of the stencil design. I just want a little bit of textural color or textural design to this piece. So I'm just going to place that on, and I'm just going to start spritzing. And I'm not even going to tape down the stencil. I'm just going to spritz the water right on top of it. I'm going to let the stencil kind of sit in place for a minute. Just kind of like hang out and meld down with that water, just to have a little bit of contact with it. And now I'm going to come in with a paper towel and just dab off the excess water. Now you're going to see that this is going to get a lot lighter when I remove that paper towel. So now I have a very soft background that's not so vibrant, but I'm also going to have a little bit of detail from the stencil. So I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to quickly heat set that with my gun, with my heat tool. And you're going to see a very faint design. I'm going to come back and place my stencil back down. Now I'm not even worried if I'm not lined up. And that's what I like about this stencil and this technique. I don't have to be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and spritz some more. Let it hang out for a minute. And it's just going to meld those colors together. Now I'm just going to go in with my paper towel. And now I'm just going to press down with my fingers, just to make sure I'm getting good contact, because that paper is really wet now. And now I'm going to see a little bit more of that design. Again, I don't want this to be overpowered. I just want a soft design in this. I'm going to heat set it one more time. And once that's done, I'm going to clean off my mat just a little bit because I have water kind of like everywhere. I'm going to bring that stencil in for a third time. I'm going to place it back down. Again, I'm not really being too concerned. And I'm going to grab my blending tool. I'm going to go back over just the top and the bottom. I'm sorry, the top, the middle, and the bottom, just with some color. Not a lot. I'm not putting a lot. And I'm going to lift up. And now I'm really going to be able to see the design. But once I hit it again with just a little bit of water, it's going to reactivate that white or that chalk look through there. And I'm going to pick up a little bit more of a different design. And now one more time, I'm going to heat set this. And I'm really going to start seeing a little bit more of the white in different areas. So again, like I said, this is just a very soft design in the background because I don't want it to overpower this pretty color combination. Now since I have that dried, I'm going to go ahead and start removing the tape. Now this paper is pretty damp still. So I'm going to be very careful peeling back this Micropore tape. Now I'm going to be able to set this aside to dry while I work on the rest of my card. So I'm going to bring this up so you can see what a pretty design I have. And as it dries, it's going to get a little bit more deeper and it's going to pop a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and set this side to dry, and then I'm going to start working on the sentiment. So for my sentiment, I'm going to use the You the Best. And this is a great die. It's an inner and outer die from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to run this through my die cut machine a couple times in black and one time in white cardstock. Because I want to have a little bit of a pop of white with a shadow of black behind it. Now I've cut 2 times in the black cardstock and only 1 time in the white cardstock. And I'm going to use some on point glue to adhere all of these pieces together. So I'm just going to stack all those together. And then lastly, I'm going to stack the white piece on top. Now it's kind of hard to see on my mat, but I'm going to try to not get my head in the way. And I'm going to place that white piece of cardstock on top of the stacked black pieces, and there's 2 pieces. And once I kind of get it off center just a little bit, because I want to have that black shadow behind the white piece, I'm going to lift this up so you can kind of see it a little bit better. So I'm going to place that down, and you'll see I have just a little bit of a black halo right behind my letters. And that's just going to give me a little bit of a pop so when I place that down. So now you can see I have a very faint design on my Caribbean colored background. And now I can go ahead and start building up my card. Now this technique is really easy to do with any kind of design that's easy to overlap. And if you use your Distress Oxide inks, they become very softer and more of a muted and matte color. And this technique is so easy to do. Now since I have that down, now I can go ahead and grab my piece. And now you can see how that black just pops behind those letters. And it actually makes my sentiment raise up off of my card panel. I'm going to go ahead and grab my on point glue again. And this is going to help me adhere this to the front of the card panel. So this card just really reminds me of summer and happiness. And like I said, I'm getting ready to go on a cruise for my 25th wedding anniversary. And I just wanted to make something for my hubby and let him know that he is the best in my life. And I thought this would be a happy little card to give to him. So I'm going to go ahead and press that down right onto my card panel. Now my husband knows me. I have to have a little bit of bling on every card. So I'm just going to have to add a few, just a few sequins on this. Because he knows I'm a girl who likes a little bit of sparkle. And this is our 25th. So he's going to have to get a little bit of bling on this card. So I'm just going to add just a few. And I'm going to use the same glue to place this down. And that is going to be the card today. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys when I get back from my cruise. Have a fantastic day, you guys. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.